she never left. Untold disturbing stories. Most of us have had someone in our lives who saw something in us before we saw it in ourselves. Someone who showed up at exactly the right moment and said exactly the right thing. Now imagine finding out that person was still showing up, long after they had any reason to, long after they were able to. This is the story of Tatum, 17 years old, Cape Town, South Africa, and the 2 years she spent trying to figure out who was sending her messages that made her feel less alone. The answer was the one thing she never could have prepared for. Before we get into this, if you're new here, welcome to Untold Disturbing Stories. Every week, we bring you stories like this one. Unsettling, emotional, and impossible to forget. Subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss one. Watching on TikTok or Instagram, full versions of every story live on our YouTube channel. Link is in the bio. Now, let's talk about Tatum. Tatum was not doing well at the start of her matric year. Not academically, she was sharp, curious, the kind of student who read ahead because she couldn't help herself. But emotionally, she was stretched, thin. Her parents were going through something she felt in every room they shared. Her boyfriend Gavin was warm but uncertain. Her best friend Nadia was dealing with her own crisis and had less to give than usual. And she was still carrying the loss of Miss Venter, her English teacher, killed in a car accident during grade 10. The kind of teacher schools are lucky to have once a generation. The kind who remembered what 17 felt like and used that memory to reach the students nobody else could. Tatum missed her more than she felt she had the right to. The first message arrived on a Tuesday night in February, an Instagram account she didn't recognize. No photo, no posts, just a username that meant nothing. It said, "You looked exhausted today." Not the tired kind. The kind where you've been carrying something too heavy for too long. You're allowed to put it down sometimes. She typed back, "Who is this?" The reply came immediately, someone who notices. The messages kept coming. Never every day, sometimes a week of silence, but always at exactly the right moment. Always specific. Always knowing things she hadn't shared. And alongside the messages, things she couldn't explain. The night before her history exam, her textbook was open on the floor, beside her desk. She hadn't left it there. It was open to one specific chapter. She studied it. It was the entire exam. The morning of her drama audition, her locker jammed, the one that always jammed, the one nobody could ever open. She pulled and rattled and was about to give up when it opened, cleanly. First try. Like something had unlocked it from the inside. She made the audition. She got the part. She was certain it was Nadia first. A message referenced a private conversation from the previous week only Nadia could have known. She confronted her. Nadia looked genuinely hurt. If I wanted to say something kind, I'd just say it. Then she thought it was Gavin. A message arrived mid-argument, timed too perfectly. She accused him. He had no idea what she was talking about. The fight got worse. Then her mother. A message during a family argument that was too accurate, too inside their home. She checked her mother's phone while she slept. Nothing. The worst night of her matric year came on a Wednesday in July. Nothing specific triggered it. Just everything at once, pressing down. She sat on her bedroom floor at 2 a.m. and was genuinely not okay in a way she hadn't been before. And then she smelled it. A perfume. Distinctive. Warm, slightly old-fashioned. She had smelled it thousands of times, in one specific place, in one specific classroom, on one specific person. She was completely alone. Nobody in her house wore it. She had never owned it. It lasted maybe 30 seconds. When it faded, she found herself breathing differently. Still sad, still all of it, but steadier. Like something had sat beside her in the dark just long enough to make sure she was going to be okay. She got through the night. The final message arrived on the last day of matric. She had just walked out of her last exam. Nadia was outside crying happy tears. Gavin was waiting by the gate. Her phone buzzed. "You made it. I always knew you would." Before I go, there's something you deserve to know. The yearbook. Page 44, third row, third from the right. She's wearing red. She always said red was for the days she needed courage. She needed it that day more than most. You gave it to her. You never knew. She never forgot. Tatum stood completely still, in the middle of the noise around her. Then she went to find a yearbook. Page 44, third row, third from the right. Miss Venter. Younger than Tatum ever knew her. Wearing a red dress, smiling the specific smile of someone who has just decided to be okay. She sat down on the library floor. She thought about every message, the textbook, the locker, the perfume at 2 a.m., and she thought about what the message said that she didn't understand. You gave it to her. You never knew. 3 months later, a man knocked on her door. He introduced himself quietly. Miss Venter's husband. He said his wife had spoken about Tatum more than once. He had spent 3 years slowly clearing her belongings the way grief makes everything slow, and had found a box of things from school he'd been holding on to, not knowing what to do with. He handed her the box. I haven't read any of it. I just knew she'd want certain things to go to certain people. He left before she could find words. Inside the box, old exercise books in Miss Venter's handwriting, a class photograph from grade 10, and underneath everything, a journal. Tatum found 2 entries that stopped her completely. The first was dated a Tuesday afternoon during her grade 9 year. It said, "Stayed late, sat in the car for a long time, longer than I should have. A girl knocked on my window, thought it was her mother's car. She apologized and walked away without looking back. She'll never know what that knock interrupted. I'll never forget her face." The second entry was from a Thursday afternoon, 2 months later. A day Miss Venter had been holding herself together in class through something Tatum had never known about. One of my grade 9s said something in class today. She wasn't talking about me. She couldn't have been. But she said the best people never realize how much they matter to the people around them. I've been thinking about it all evening. I think I needed to hear it more than I've needed anything in a long time. And the last entry, written shortly before she died. I hope she knows someday that she saved me. Twice. Without trying, without knowing. I've been trying to return the favor. I don't know if it's working, but I won't stop. Tatum closed the journal. She picked up her phone. The account was gone. Permanently. Completely. Like it had only ever existed to make sure she found out. Like it had finished what it came to do. She never found out how the messages were sent. She never found out about the textbook, the locker, the perfume. She never found a rational explanation for any of it. What she found was something better than an explanation. She found out that on 2 ordinary afternoons, a car park, a classroom, without trying, without knowing, she had given someone a reason to keep going, and that someone had spent years quietly making sure she had reasons too. Miss Venter always said, red was for the days you needed courage. Tatum wore red to her university orientation. She thought about it as she put it on. She smiled. That is the story of Tatum, and of Miss Venter, and of the quiet, impossible ways the people who love us find to stay. If this one got to you, and I think it did, hit the like button. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think was really behind those messages. I read every single. Subscribe to Untold Disturbing Stories if you haven't already. New stories every week, the kind that follow you home. Watching on TikTok or Instagram. Every full story is on our YouTube channel. Longer, darker, no cuts. Link is in the bio. Next week, a story that starts with an inheritance and ends with something buried in a field that nobody has ever been able to explain. I'll see you then. Sleep well.